So I'm Cynthia, and I'm the host of the reality series CPS the Horror Stories. I'm not an attorney or a social worker, but I'm a mother who had her children removed by CPS. And after 2 years of fighting, I did get my kids back. Now I have this platform to allow and help other parents share their stories about the trauma and devastation and corruption that Child Protective Services causes when they're in your life. So, Stephany, can you introduce yourself and tell me where you're from?
I'm Stephany. I'm from Virginia.
And how many children do you have?
I have two.
And may I ask their ages?
My son, he's 20 months, and my other son, he is almost 3 months. He'll be 3 months tomorrow.
So they're young. Now, you mentioned that you were in foster care.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind if we start there?
Okay. Yeah, I got taken away from my mom when I was 14. It was a lot of abuse from her boyfriends and her. I got molested from the age of 2 to 9. Then one of her boyfriends beat me really bad to the point where I was bleeding. And it took them until I was 14 when I got in a fight at school to take me away because she was on a crack bench. And yeah. So she basically abandoned me. And because they couldn't find her, they put me in the system. But it took me to go through all that for them to finally take me. So the system and me, I hate the system. Yeah. And actually the same system that took me is the same system that took my son.
Why were you taken from your parents?
Abandonment.
How old were you, if you don't mind?
14.
They left you? Just left?
Yeah, my mom went to go smoke crack. Yeah.
Was she gone for a while?
Yeah, she would go for weeks, months. And it took me getting into a fight at,
You would be left alone?
Mm-hmm. She sold me for crack.
What do you mean? If you don't, can you?
Like, she got her dealer to come over and rape me to get her drugs. And she's part of the reason why my son, Bobby, my 1-year-old, got taken.
This is your flesh and blood mother, biological mom?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That, as a mother, and you as a mother, it's very hard to look at your child and want to cause them any type of pain like that. But not just cause them pain, use them for your benefit. I'm so sorry. I can't. You know, my mom was the one who took my kids away from me. I don't know if you know my story, but lied. Said I was on drugs. I've never touched a drug in my life. And she had my children the entire time. And CPS believed her until I was able to I had to prove my innocence. But your mom took it to a whole other level.
Yep, and she's so in denial about it. She says it's my fault while I was in foster care. She blames that on me.
Okay.
I've been blamed my whole life.
And then the dealer coming over and doing that to you?
Yeah, that's my fault too.
How?
I don't know. That's a good question. She's blamed me for everything. She's one of them people that don't accept her own flaws. She
Well,
thinks everything's everybody else's fault but hers.
I'm not a therapist, okay? But having the childhood I had, it sounds like we both lived with a narcissist mother. I want to tell you it wasn't your fault. I hope you truly know that.
It's hard for me to believe that because I want her to love me still.
I know. Oh, honey, I know.
So it's like, oh yeah, Mom, I believe you. Yep, it's my fault because I want her to love me.
Yep.
And it's that love that I know I'm never going to get.
No. And you want to be accepted and understood and seen and heard. But one thing that I know, because I went from my mom to then my husband, who's also a narcissist, they're incapable of that love that we desire. And what's so hard is we don't understand. We don't understand because our brains and hearts work normal. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm screwed up, you know, I think we all are in a way. But I think that even though I went through what I went through, even after my mom stole my children, I'm still normal. Like, I still can have compassion, and like the fact that you have that desire is so real and normal and okay.
It's just really hard. Like, even to this day, I just don't understand. Like, you know, like, what did I do so wrong?
You didn't. You know what I've learned about the narcissist is that when the fact is that especially the mothers become very jealous of the daughters. And also, what's hard is that when they don't love themselves and they hate themselves. One of our the people that's watching right now, she said, we crave validation of the horrible things really did happen. And even like fathers to sons, it's absolutely horrible. It's true. It is so true. And that's what my ex-husband dealt with, was what his dad did to him, and it created him to become a narcissist, literally. And it's just, I watched my husband want his dad's attention and approval and love, and so bad he wanted it. And there I was giving him the love. And I remember our last fight, we were married for 12 years, and he said, sorry I couldn't love you the way you wanted to be loved. Something like that. And I remember he was in the shower, and I flung the shower door open, thought I was gonna break the glass. I said, you don't get to use that excuse anymore. I'm sorry you had a horrible childhood, but I loved you. I was there for you, and you treated me like crap. 12 years. So I don't know why we go like toward that. So I don't know what like your relationship is with the father of the baby, or your dad. Do you see your dad at all?
No, my mom kept me away from him, and I met him when he was dead. I met him in his casket.
Do you have like another father mother figure in your life?
Yeah, I talked to my first foster family. They've been there for me for the past 13 years.
That's amazing. I'm so glad. I didn't find my other family until like 6 years ago, and it's so different. I know it's not the same because I miss like my dad. I miss my dad. I miss my mom too, but it's different. After what she did with my kids and stuff, even though my dad participated in it too, I have a different view on both of them. I don't know, it's kind of odd. So tell me what happened with your mom who called, your mother.
No. My mom, what, on this case or the previous one?
Let's start with the first one.
Basically, my baby daddy, we had a falling out, and so basically I went to go live with my mom because I didn't have anywhere else to go, and I wasn't gonna be in a shelter with my son. Like, he's my firstborn, and he was a month old at the time, and 2 days, first time that they came, it was 2 days after we broke up. Well, I found out that it was his sister that had called. His sister called and said I was doing drugs and I was leaving my son in his crib screaming, which is not the case at all. I don't do that stuff. So they came. I did a drug test. I passed, and they said you probably won't see us again. We're going to close the case. So I'm like, okay, but I had to wait, the minimum, which is like 45 days. The soonest they could close it. So they did that. And then when they came over, they came back because the Tri-City Drug Task Force ended up busting in the house. Because I got back with somebody I shouldn't have got back with. And then a week and a half later, they came back, social services, CPS, and the same lady that took me from my mom is the same lady that took my son. And she said, "Oh, Stephany, it's only going to be a few days, yada, yada, yada." So I'm like, okay, well, can you go with my family? And she said, yeah. So I called his supposed godmom, and so she came and got him because me and his dad wasn't on speaking terms. Next thing you know, I want to say like 3 days later, a sheriff's knocking at my door because they done got an emergency removal to put him in foster care. So they lied to me, and they didn't even contact his dad. They just took him. And I'm getting a call. Next thing you know, I'm getting a call from the foster care worker talking about, oh, this is I'm social worker. What? Are you serious? How? He was just with my family. And that's where and it went from there. A few days turned into 11 months.
And your son was placed with your old foster family?
Mm-hmm. Not the first time he was placed with somebody I didn't even know. And then that's why he got moved, because I went to the family partnership meeting. And I said, well, if he's going to be in foster care, he needs to be where I know where I know he is, where he is, and where he's going to be safe. So I thought, and so he went with one of my old foster moms. And he was there from age 3.5 months to a year old.
Now, have you, if you don't mind, have you ever used drugs?
In my past, yeah, when they took my son.
You did get.
And when they took my son.
May I ask what you used?
Heroin. I just didn't care anymore when they took him. Just didn't care. Because I knew once he got into the system, there wasn't in my mind, it was like no hope. Because, I aged out of the system, so I know how the system works. It's dirty.
How old are you, if you don't mind?
I'm 26.
And how are you doing now?
As soon as I found out there was hope to get him back, I got clean.
Good for you.
But it took them to take him to make me go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, that is one thing that I said when my kids were taken. I finally, it was like I didn't realize I was on a high horse, and I realized how somebody could start using or drinking or anything because of that type of pain. And it makes me look at any addict completely differently, and it makes me sad that I judged, period, and ever. It wasn't in a intentional judging, if that makes sense, but it was just kind of oh well, you made that choice. Well, now I realize, yes, some of it's still a choice, but it's all because of the pain that that person is going through.
I mean, I just stopped caring because, I mean, and they were accusing me of doing it. Like when they took him, like the day they came to the house and was saying, oh, you can't be the main caregiver for the next couple of days. So I'm like, let me give you a drug test. Let me prove y'all wrong again. And they told me, nope, we have probable cause to take him now and replace him with family. Okay. Only a few days, you say. Yep. And then they tried to compare it to my sister's. My sister's kids got taken, all of them. But they tried to compare it. Oh, it's not like your sister's. But in a way, it kind of was. But my sister didn't get her kids back because she didn't fight for them. It just made her go, further down the rabbit hole. And she's in California, and we don't know where she's at. So.
Where was she in California?
Sacramento.
Oh, up north. Is
Yep.
that your biological sister?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, why did CPS show up in your life?
What recently?
The first time.
What, when I was a child?
No, as an adult with your older son.
Because the first time was because my baby daddy's sister called on me.
And said what?
And said that I was using drugs taking care of my son, and that I was leaving him in the crib screaming, and he was undernourished. My son was 18 pounds at 3.5 months old.
So all of those allegations look like they could have been proven innocent immediately, almost.
Yep.
So when they took him and he ended up in the long-term foster home that had you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why was he there for 11 months?
Because they kept coming. They were really trying to take my rights. And I was doing everything that they asked me to do. Everything. And, because at first you do the supervised visits, and it goes to the unsupervised visits, and then, then the trial home. They used the COVID-19 excuse. Oh, you can't. And then they even kept him from me for a long period of time because of COVID.
How did you get him back?
Let's see. I had to do parent coach. I had to do parent coaching. I had to go through addiction and recovery. I was going through Success in Mind, addiction and recovery. I had to do that. So I got into the Suboxone clinic because I'm totally against methadone. Had to do that and complete that and do all my visits. And I eventually, October 1st, that just passed, I just got my custody back.
Wow.
And he was like an hour and a half away, but we were making that drive twice a week to go see him.
So tell me now why they're in your life now.
Because his first foster home that he was in, she had called CPS, and I know it's her because of messages. She had called CPS and told CPS basically I couldn't provide for my kids, and that my boyfriend, he has an autistic son. So there's 3 kids in the home. But right now he's not here because of social services. Had told them that Drew was picking my kids up and throwing them. And mind you, my kids are, small children. If they get thrown across the room, what are they? They're going to have broken bones. So so they had did that, and the lady was already threatening. Like, she hadn't even came to do an interview. Like, she called me. She was already threatening to get an emergency removal order. So she had me come to the office. This just passed recently. She had me come to the office, and I was in there for 2 hours, 2 long hours. And she was sitting there, asking me, how they ask those questions, like, and tell you about the allegation. And she's sitting there, she's asking me all these questions, and I'm denying them because none of it's true. And then she's like, well, I guess I'm going to have to get an emergency removal. And I got like 73 minutes of recording of it. And she was really rude and nasty about it. And she was like, so does Drew hurt your children? And I was like, no, he loves them, right? She goes, it's not about love. Like, he's like really hurting my kids. And I was like, he's not doing anything. He's not, like, he's not. I thought that for a second, why would I let him risk my children? Which I wouldn't. And so then she pulls out a whole bunch of messages, and she's like, well, what is this? And then she's trying, because the lady brought me diapers one time, because she's like, oh, I'll always be there for yada yada. So I'm like, I don't really want to accept that, because I don't want a CPS case. I really didn't want to accept it, but she insisted. So what happened? I accepted it, and what happened? Social services get called. And then she adds a whole bunch of, that they're being thrown, and then what she uses she's a psychologist too. But that's not, like, I was in there for 2 hours. And when she said, well, I'm going to have to get an emergency removal. And I was like, well, can't I just leave with my kids? Or can't Drew go to his grandma's? Like, what can we do about this? That ain't right. I fought 11 months for my son. And then she brought one of her colleagues over, and her colleague is the reason why I still have them, because this just happened on Thursday. And so she wrote on a piece of paper that we have to agree to random drug screens, and Drew has to go to his grandma's until he can get assessed and evaluated, and that unannounced visits. And she made us go do a hair follicle test. I went to do the hair follicle test. I passed that with flying colors, because there was a 3-day window, because the chrome on the rim is making our tire go flat. We don't have the money right now to get it fixed. So what do we have to do? We have to use an air compressor, to get to point A to point B right now. Like, that's just what we got to do. And so I had to borrow my friends, and it took him 3 days to bring it to me. That's not my fault. And I don't know anybody around here. Like, I'm not from here. And so she tried to basically say that I finagled my test because I came back clean. Me and my boyfriend, we came back clean, and apparently we finagled our tests somehow, which we did not. We literally couldn't drive. We can't drive. What? So all of our tires get messed up? Are you serious?
That's crazy.
And so now I have to sit here wondering, even though Drew's at his grandma's, and it kills me, because it's like, now I have to sit and wonder, is she going to knock on my door with that emergency removal? Is she going to take my babies, even though I did what, Drew's not here? Is she still going to do that just to be spiteful?
Very well could. And it's sad. It makes me so frustrated that the department works and lives off of these malicious calls.
Yep. And that's how they make their paycheck. She said, it's my job to investigate. I said, no, it's your job to take kids away. You don't need to focus on kids that really need to be taken.
Exactly.
Not someone I busted, I'm sorry, but I busted my ass to get my son back. I did. Fought tooth and nail. And I did everything that I was supposed to do without skipping a beat. And I'm still being the best mom I know how to be. And it's just not good enough for them. It's just not. Like, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, that's just how they think. They don't care about, and it traumatizes. Like, every time, like, those people come around, my son knows who they are. Knows exactly who they are. And he clings on to me. And it's sad because he clings on to me because he doesn't want to lose me again.
I know.
It's sad. And every day I got to hold on to him so tight because I don't know what's going to happen to the next moment, to the next, because they're so spiteful. They don't care. They don't care about how much trauma it does to the child. They don't care how much trauma it does to the mom, the dad, whoever's involved. They don't care. They just don't. And at the end of the day, I'm doing my job as their mom. And that's all I can do.
Right.
And I hope she gets some actual proof that I hope she gets some actual proof, or is gonna, whoever, like I said, I know who did it, and this time I will take the person to court. This time I will. Because it's not right. I shouldn't have to live walking on eggshells after I just legally got my son back. And then she made a sly comment too. She's like, well, they just got custody. Like, she was talking to her colleague. She's like, well, they just got custody back of and that's another story. I'm not going to get into that right now, but now they're in our jurisdiction, like, you know, on the low, threatening me. Like, are you serious? So I took initiative because she wanted, you know, they get you to sign releases and stuff. So I took initiative and I took both of my children to the pediatrician, and I got them both abuse checks. And the doctor's like, do you think there's something going on? And I was like, no, it's because someone called on me. And so I got her to check for everything, you know, sexual abuse, physical abuse, everything. And she wrote a report up and she sent it to them. I haven't heard from her, but I know she's going to pop up. She's going to pop up sometime this week. I'm just waiting for that knock. Because she probably isn't thinking that, oh, she's not smart enough to go get them checked. Well, I did, and they said that they're perfectly healthy and normal, and to keep doing what I'm doing. So.
Wow.
This time, I will say, though, I'm not just going to say, here you go. They didn't have, like I said, the first time they took, have that emergency removal. I didn't know they had to have that to take them. And if I'd have known that, I would have fought that.
Right.
But I still will fight now if they came with emergency removal, because they're the reason why I am sober now. They're the reason why I am clean, the reason why I'm still going on with life, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. Like, my kids are my purpose. Mm-hmm. Like, they're all I have. Like, I don't have any family, you know?
I do know.
And the family that you think you have is really not there. Oh, we love you from a distance. No, yep. You don't. You just love me whenever you feel like it. And that's not love at all. Just like my mom, like, to this day, like, you know, she had drugs in her bedroom, you know, when the Tri-City Drug Task Force busted, and she had heroin and meth and Xanax, all this stuff in her room. And she said, if you find anything in my room, and this were her exact words, it's all hers.
Are you there? Okay.
Yeah. She said it's all hers. And it wasn't, because I wasn't doing anything. I just had nowhere else to go. And I was paying her rent. She wasn't working or nothing. I was paying her rent, you know, providing food, like, and I just thought it was important for her to be in her grandbaby's life. Like, she is a good grandma, though. Like, she's a better grandma than she was a mom. Like, she helped me with my son 100%. But the moment he got taken is the moment, like, she left the whole trailer. Like, she didn't want nothing to do with me. Just like now, because I got custody back of him, she's seen my son a total of one time. And she expects, you know, to see him like she has rights to him. No, because they clearly stated that my mom was a security risk. That was a reason why they took him. So my mom was a security risk to him.
Then don't have her around. You can't.
And then, oh, I love Bobby. Like, she'll try to make me feel bad. That's what she does best. And it's like, you know, like she hasn't met my newborn, and she's like, he's almost 3 months old and I haven't even met him. I'm sorry, I can't risk that.
No.
And it's really hard for me to even say, Mom, I'm sorry you can't be around your grandkids.
I get it. Because
I just make excuses because I don't want to hurt her feelings.
Yes, but this is about you as a mother now, protecting your children. It's not about your mom. I know it's hard, but one thing I can say is the moms like that end up like mine, and they take your kids, or try to.
And that's another thing. She always called her son. Like, that's my baby. No, it's not. You wish you could restart over. You cannot.
That's what my mother did. And she made my kids call her mom.
What? Oh, whoa. That's crazy.
And she told my daughter that, she told my son, my baby, that he came from her and breastfed off of her.
What? That's ridiculous.
So.
And he was young enough to believe it, probably.
Of course he was. He was 4. And the problem is that my kids look just like me and my brother. So it's believable, if that makes sense. Let's see.
Wow.
Me and my daughter. Yeah.
Oh, so she probably was saying, oh, this is you when you were little.
Yes. And then look at this.
Wow.
Me and my son.
Wow. Yep. That's shiesty. That's really sick.
Yeah. So, you have to decide and make a choice. I know you want that relationship with your mother. I know you do. But right now, what you need to worry about is those babies. And you can't have anybody there that's going to be toxic or harmful or dangerous, or, that can possibly have your kids removed.
I was like, so when I said that I was going to leave with my kids, because I'll leave with my kids in a heartbeat if that's going to help, the situation any day of the week. I don't care day or night. And she was like, well, I don't want you going back to that county you were in. She don't want me going back to that county because she knows that social services ain't going to mess with me because I've done proven myself to them. Because they said, somebody had made a malicious report too, like while we were doing a trial home with Bobby. Someone made a malicious report. They came here, and the first thing that was in my head was they were coming back to take Bobby. And they were like, no, Stephany, we're here to make sure that they're okay and that you're okay. And we know if there was a problem, we know that you're going to tell us. And because this girl, she said I beat my son to sleep. Like, who does that? And of course she tried to say he had bruises on his body. He didn't have no bruises on his body. But yeah, of course, if I go to James City County, they're not going to mess with me because I've proven myself. It took 11 months to prove myself, but it was worth it.
Well, I'm really proud of you, and I'm so glad that you have your babies. And I just pray and hope that, everything stays this way. But I want to know what happens. If
Okay.
they come back, I want to just stay in touch and see what happens.
I just want this to be over with. I fought so long and hard, and I know 11 months, to you is like not a long time because you fought 2 years.
It doesn't matter. A day is a long time. A day to be away from your babies is a long time. So it doesn't, there's no,
I can't go through that again though. I really can't. Mentally, I cannot do it again. And I don't think that lady understands what that's doing to me right now. I just can't. It's definitely testing my sobriety. But the only thing that's keeping me, like I said, sober is my babies. And if they take my babies, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And that's what's scary.
I want you to stick in this community of moms and dads that have gone and are going through this, and let us encourage you, because you have to fight. You cannot give up, and you can't live in fear. I know that.
But it's just not fair. I fought so long. Why do I still have to continue to fight for something that I won that battle, though? I've already beat that battle.
Trust me. Because this department has no authority over them. They get to do whatever they want.
And they take that to their own advantage. Oh, I'm going to get a paycheck off this case. I'm going to get me a raise. They think that I'm stupid. I don't know what's going on. Oh, I know perfectly.
There's a lot of parents that are posting encouragement. Message these moms. Let them encourage you and send you love and support. Build this network with us.
I just don't know what to do. I'm scared.
I know.
Yeah, I might have given her what she wanted now. Drew's not here, but what's to say? Within the next 5 minutes, she shows up here and takes them. What am I going to do? I don't know.
Don't live like that.
But that's how I feel because
I know. I do know. Trust me.
She's so mean and cruel and nasty. The fact that she hasn't
look, you're already.
She has yet.
You're already doing what you need to do. Stay clean. Stay sober. You took them to the doctors. You have the other child not there right now. You're doing what you have to do to keep your kids safe and with you.
But
you
still,
can't.
my son, he loves his brother. He loves his brother. He shouldn't have had to leave.
I understand.
You know how hard it is, to look at him because he goes into his brother's room and says, and not in there at grandma's. And I can't, it's really hard to explain to, my 1-year-old, where his brother is, he doesn't understand why he's not there. He shouldn't have to deal with that. I don't feel like, Drew should have had to leave. I feel like me and my kids at best, I feel like me and my kids should have been the ones to leave, not Drew. Because he grew up in this house. He's autistic. They're when they get used to something, they're not good with change. That's not fair to him. It's really not. And as much as it's hard for me, as much and hard as this whole situation is, I don't want him with his grandma. I want him here with me. I'm all he knows. His mom gave him up at birth. So for the past 3 years, I've been mommy. And now he's not here, And at first, it didn't bother me, but it bothers me big time. Because I have to sit there and try to explain to Bobby, where's Baba at? And it bothers me day to day. Like, he's been gone, like, almost, on Thursday, it will be a week. And that's basically, if you will, without putting them in the system. Because they don't want to have to do paperwork. That's exactly what that is. Because they don't want to have to do this or do that. No, they don't want to have to dish out more resources. Like, they're dishing out resources now, you know, for them to come out, for us to do a hair follicle test. You know, a hair follicle test is like $250. And they did that, and because it came back clean, we're hiding something. She really expected me to be dirty. Like, that's exactly what she was expecting, for me to be dirty. I get drug tested every week. I go to NA classes every week. Every Tuesday, I'm there. Like, you know, even if it's virtual right now because of COVID, I'm there. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Now, can you leave me alone? Like, that's how I feel. But she's not going to leave me alone. And it doesn't matter how far you run, they're going to find you.
You know that you have the right to not speak to them now. Your case is closed. Don't let them in your house. Don't talk to them. You got your kids back. Until they have proof and they have a warrant, don't talk to them.
I don't understand why she's threatening, though. She's trying to get me to admit to something that's not true.
Then don't talk to her. Look, when we're done with this, I'm going to ask my assistant for the book. She'll know what book I'm talking about. And it's called How to Fight CPS and Win. I want to stay in touch. I want to know what goes on. But don't let them win. You've got this.
It's just like, it's really hard. It really is.
What would you tell parents that are listening that have gone through this or are going through it or whatever? What would you say?
What do you mean? What would I say?
What would you tell the parents that maybe don't even know about this?
To fight.
Okay.
Keep fighting.
Then listen to that. Listen to that advice. Let's stay in touch. And let me know what happens.
All right.